you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And may this year bring us a lot of good health, prosperity, and
Amen.
happiness.
Amen. That's all. That's all we pray for. A lot of it.
Yes.
Anyway, and it's nice to see you. So are you done with the harvesting now on the farm?
Oh yes. Now in the northern part of Ghana, we have the Hamatan. I mean, you do not, apart from the traditional beans, we call it adwa,
Okay.
which is probably being harvested now.
Okay.
Nothing is on the field now.
Okay.
Yeah, because ours is regulated by the rain, and so by the December, January, latest end of January, everybody should have harvested this rice because the fires will come.
Okay.
And so I don't think that there's nothing on the field being harvested now.
Okay. Okay. And the biggest discussion, of course, and I keep asking you this anytime I meet you, whether you've now been able to sell what you've harvested, everything.
Yesterday I was making frantic efforts to contact the buffer stock.
Okay.
I also tried to contact the minister, the technical advisor to the Minister of Agric.
Okay.
2 days ago, I was at the Minister of Agric to see how far they were going with government attempts to buy the rice and maize from the farmers and reduce the level of glut in the system.
Okay.
And also prepare farmers for the next farming season.
Okay.
Now, the minister did indicate that the buffer stock was far advanced in their preparations towards buying the grains of farmers and ensuring that the farmers will be able to pay their debts. Some have harvested their rice using combined harvesters for which they have not paid. Others have harvested borrowed money to harvest their rice, and their debtors are chasing them up and down. 2 weeks ago, I was at Yagba, the Yagba area, where I am really very active. Most of the people had harvested their rice, and their rice was still on their farms. They couldn't carry them home because they had storage facility problems. And so I think that the buffer stock, the last time I checked, they had done arrangements to mop up the excess rice in the system and grains, particularly maize. I think what they need to do is to speed up because there's some level of despondency setting in on the farming front.
So there are many farmers in that situation. They have produce on the farms that they are unable to get. Is it the fact that you're not being offered good money for it?
Yes, glut. I mean, so because nature and policies combine to produce excess grains in the system. Almost everybody who did rice at the right time have had some appreciable harvest. Now the market farmers want a market. The market is not there, and because market is not there and there's glut, people are buying as low as 2 cedis a kilo of paddy. Some buy 250 a kilo for paddy. That translates into 200 cedis a bag.
A bag of rice paddy?
Yeah, 100 kilo. And so, and fertilizer, the cost of fertilizer, the cost of weedicides, the cost of land preparation have remained the same. When we met the minister about 2 months ago, we were able to demonstrate to him that for farmers to even just break even, a kilo of rice should buy at paddy at 5 cedis a kilo.
Okay.
But because of the glut, the people who are the middlemen are purchasing at 2 cedis, at most 250 pesos a kilo, and so they really saddling farmers with a lot of debt.
Okay. So the least you should have gotten for a paddy to be able to break even?
Yes, should have been 5 cedis a kilo.
5 cedis a kilo. I see. Anyway, it's great to hear that. But what happened to storage facilities being able to store, because grains and rice are things that you can store and sell later when the market, the prices are favorable.
So the kind of facilities that government promoted, I think that because when the policy was implemented, there was no glut in the system,
Okay.
and farmers were not using those facilities that had been built. And you know, some had been built with concrete, others had been built with corrugated iron.
Okay.
And so those which were built with cement, brick and mortar, they have survived, but some of them have got their roofs ripped off by storms and have not been repaired. Those which were built with corrugated iron sheets have somehow been destroyed by the elements.
Okay.
And so farmers are forced to store their grains at home, and those who don't have storage facilities or rooms to store their grains have simply left their grains on the farm. As I speak to you, now farmers still have grains on the farm, especially rice on their farm. Yes, harvested but lying on the farm. They can't carry it home.
And some of this were harvested 3 months ago.
3 months ago, yes.
I see. That's quite interesting.
Yeah. It's a troubling situation. It's a matter of concern. We had discussions with the authorities. The difficulty is that it will serve, if not checked, if not dealt with seriously, it will serve as a disincentive for farmers to go back to the field in the next farming season. And it will also hamper our attempts at ensuring that we have food sufficiency and food sovereignty in this country.
What are the lessons for you? What do you think government needs to do? You said two things combined: policy, the weather, combined to create the situation we are in. And it looks like, I see, maybe there's not enough time to have prepared for this, and also there's not enough facility to have dealt with the matter of storage, among others. What are the lessons for you to be learned going forward?
So the question of a market should not have been a matter that should disturb policymakers at all.
Okay.
I'm of the considered view that if there is some level of intentionality, deliberateness, and purpose in dealing with farmers and agricultural produce in Ghana, a market should not be a concern.
Okay.
Because the purchasing power of government should be able to provide farmers with the requisite market for their produce.
Okay.
For instance, now we have buffer stock.
Okay.
The president has announced that buffer stock should buy locally produced rice and maize to feed the students. Now, it should be a policy of government, in my view, that all purchases for public institutions, but through the use of public funds, should be directed towards agricultural produce produced in Ghana.
Okay.
That immediately creates a market. Immediately. And this idea has been around for some time. I mean, you remember Danlate.
Yes. The domestication.
Eat what you grow and grow what you eat. Simple. Now, you hear people, we're not talking about the markets. That is the private people using their money to buy whatever rice they want. We're talking about government's policy effort towards ensuring that we have food sufficiency. Where the farmers can get a market for the produce that they get from their farms. And I say that, and without any fear of contradiction, agri support should come in terms of government buying off produce of farmers and using that to feed government institutions. Public resources being used to buy off grains produced by Ghanaian farmers to feed Ghanaian people. After all, what the farmers, all of us as farmers, are doing is helping government. We are helping government to feed the nation.
Okay.
That's what Ghana farmers are simply doing. And so if we are helping government to feed the nation, the least government can do is to provide us support in terms of market. So the prisons, why should we be buying rice from imported rice to cook for prisoners?
Okay.
The army, why should we be importing rice? I mean, mind you, anytime that you buy a bag of imported rice, whether you are buying it from your own resources or from public resources, you are shipping out employment. Because you creating a market, and this year alone, I mean, reports have it that about $3 billion worth of maize was imported into this country. That means employment opportunities were created for farmers outside this country to produce maize, and particularly from Brazil, to produce maize, which maize was used in Ghana. So Ghana became a market for Brazilian maize.
Okay.
And similarly, rice has been imported into this country, huge quantities of rice. It means those people producing their rice in their countries have a market for their rice in Ghana. Now, the sad thing is that when you go out and you're talking to people, they say, oh, local rice is expensive. Then I ask, what is the definition of expensive? Because the rice that are on our markets, the imported rice on our markets, some have spent not less than 5 years in silos.
5-year-old?
5, not less. Some have actually spent 10 years in silos. So what are you eating? So don't you see the nexus between diabetes and consumption of rice, imported rice? I mean, I was talking to a doctor who said, sometimes when the people eat rice, their sugar levels spike. I mean, the doctor was saying that I have no evidential evidence, but I know that when you produce rice in Ghana, the rice is rice that has been produced in season. I'll give you an example. Last year, in November, I visited my farm to see the state of the rice. And I visited them in the company of my off-taker.
Okay.
The one who was going to buy my rice. And then, while we're leaving the farm, we saw a peasant farmer harvest his rice.
Okay.
My off-taker went and examined the rice and thought that the rice was good and bought the peasant farmer's rice.
Okay.
Now, within that week, the peasant farmer's rice was dried to the requisite moisture content level by my off-taker and mailed.
Okay.
And that rice was available in our kitchen. 1 week.
So it's fresh, wholesome rice.
So when people talk about quality, I say, what is your definition of quality? How can you compare that rice, this rice that I've just spoken about, to rice that has been imported, which has spent 5-10 years in silos? Are you not concerned about the health of Ghanaians? Do we want to feed Ghanaians with junk? Is the health of the people not the wealth of the people? In any case, we are not even saying that the rice should go to the market. We are saying that government must lead the way, use public resources. If farmers are helping to feed the nation, government must be helping to create the market for these farmers. And public resources must be directed towards helping farmers to create a market. That's simply what we're asking for.
I don't still say that's difficult because of the procurement economy we've established. That there are people, importers, who currently have a control of the system to the point that it's difficult to get this kind of policies to work. You've worked in the system before.
It's not difficult. So you introduced me as the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources.
Yeah.
And so, there was a similar policy being pursued at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources when I was a minister.
Okay.
And probably people don't know. So we said we wanted to prevent the depletion of our forest cover.
Okay.
And so, what were we going to do? We were going to send people to the forest to be, scouting around to see those who were illegally harvesting timber. We did that, but that was not our focus. Government, through government contracts, is a major consumer of timber in this country.
Really?
All contracts will use wood.
Okay. Okay.
So government is a major consumer, government contracts.
Okay.
So we came up with a policy. No government contract should be executed using illegally harvested timber. So you see the bush cats and whatnot could not find their way. Yes, we could have implementation challenges and enforcement challenges, but that policy was directed towards safeguarding our forest cover. Okay. So it can be done. Government is going to pay you using public resources if you execute a contract. And government says, look, in the implementation of this contract, I don't want the contractor to use illegal timber, illegally harvested timber. The same thing that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and I must commend him for that very profound statement he made when he said that buffer stock must feed our secondary schools, our educational institutions with local produce. He went further to say direct the Minister of Finance to make available to the buffer stock company a total amount of 300 million Ghana cedis. First 100 and second 200.
Yes.
To buy off the excess grains in the system. It's commendable. So now what is left is enforcement, implementation and enforcement, with eagle-eye policing of this policy, because the charlatans who are in the business of importing rice could simply import their rice and rebag the rice made in Ghana bags.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Just so that they can get into...
So that they can get...
they can sell to government.
So you see, so you need a combination of forces to be able to create the required enabling environment for us to provide employment and opportunities for the teeming youth. The 24-hour economy will be premised and will be successful if agric and agribusiness leads the way.
I see. Very interesting. I'll come back to that. But I wanted to also to take your views. So let's shift from agric for a while. Take your views on this whole matter of renaming we're just talking about it, the Kotoka International Airport to Accra International Airport. So what do you make of that idea and the fact that it will be pushed through in Parliament during the session?
So that idea is also not new.
Okay.
Has been around for some time.
Okay.
It appeared to have been a worry and a concern for Ghanaians. That the very person who led the uprising against Nkrumah becomes the gateway to Ghana.
The person who led in, the uprising against Nkrumah,
yes,
is now the gateway to
Ghana. So, and recent, and when I say recent, I don't mean just 10 years or that. I mean, many people have taken keen interest in what our first Prime Minister and President was trying to do to build our country. Now, many people do think that but for the overthrow of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, probably Ghana would have been the Mecca of Africa, if not Africa, West Africa. It appeared that we were on a trajectory to self-sufficiency, to development, but that was cut short by a coup d'etat. Also, information has emerged that Kwame Nkrumah was one of the unwanted leaders of the Western Hemisphere. So the coup was engineered by them. Simply, those who overthrew him were not pursuing a national interest, but were pursuing the interests of foreign countries. And the classified documents have shown that the CIA and the British government were neck deep in the machinations to overthrow Nkrumah. Then you have the person who was an architect, was part of the plot to overthrow Nkrumah. The history has it that he fell at where the airport is. Then the airport was named after him. It's incongruous in terms.
Incongruous.
It's incongruous in terms. I have read the explanation of Kotoka, who says that it is not, the name of the airport was not to elevate Kotoka, but to understand the tumultuous history of this country of the past. So I don't think that we should celebrate those who overthrew a constitutional regime in the way that we have celebrated Kotoka. I think that, like the majority leader has said, I think that in line with our democratic values and identity, we need to change the name of Kotoka International Airport to Accra International Airport. I think so.
And I wonder if you've listened to the minority leader. Have you?
Yes, I've listened to him. But minority leader is always struggling for relevance, not so.
Struggling for
relevance.
Relevance.
Yes.
He's a minority leader.
Yes.
That's a lot of relevance.
So for a very long time, his party's position has been that we should not honor coup makers. This particular policy of the NDC ties neatly with the long-held view of their party. Okay? That Kotoka was a coup maker who disturbed the First Republic. So we don't need to honor him.
Okay.
And the least he would have done was to support the minority and government in trying to give vent to our democratic identity, present democratic identity and values. For you to come out to object to the renaming of Kotoka International Airport as Accra International Airport, I do not see where he's coming from, apart from describing that action as being a struggle for relevance within the parliamentary setup and as a person, especially immediately after the MPP primaries, where the performance of his constituency in the primaries has come out for serious scrutiny.
I see. I'll turn to that, but there are those who also make the point that why, of all the things that you can do, why renaming? Who cares about whether or not Kotoka International Airport is called Kotoka International or Accra International Airport? It does not put food on our table. It does not solve the transportation issue that recently came up. It does not somehow deal with unemployment, among others. How do you respond to those people?
So, yes, admittedly, it does not solve the unemployment problem. It does not also solve the transportation problem, but it's consistent with the reset agenda of government. That we're trying to create a narrative which encourages civic responsibility and love for country. So that's all that the reset agenda is trying to do. That as a people, there are some values that we must uphold. And when you give a confusing narrative of those values, you confuse the people, and the people do not know which values to highlight and which to downplay. So it's part of the research agenda. Now, you know what it's going to do to people who might want to disturb the constitutional order of this country? That it doesn't matter how long they can be successful. Their rules will come up for questioning one day, and their significance will be diminished. And it's not only in Ghana, it's everywhere. I mean, look at what has happened even in universities, Oxford and other places. The statues of former slave owners were destroyed, but they were held high. They were utilized. Okay? But today, they are not, they think that they are an embarrassment to humanity, to the democratic culture of those countries, and their statues are being brought down. It's part of the reset. I mean, the people will constantly evaluate the contribution of persons within a country over a period of time. And when they find that their contributions do not align with the vision of the state, they will reduce their significance. And that's what is happening with the Kotoka International Airport. That as a democratic country, we want to promote our democracy. We want to promote good civic behavior. We want stability. We do not want to encourage people to tamper with our governance system and architecture. By consensus, we agree that governments must do a certain period in office, and that the only way to remove government is through the ballot box. That where there is a difficulty in the removal process, the recourse is not to the gun, the recourse is to the court. This is the consensus that we've arrived at. And for 30 years or more, we have trodden the path of democracy. So we are beginning to dismantle things we perceive as not aligning to this democratic vision, to our values as a people, that no one should have the right to destabilize a government and foist himself on us as a people. And that's why we are naming Kotoka International Airport.
I see. Well, let's move on to the first anniversary of the government currently in power. Now, you're 1 year old, but in your second year, so far, your own impressions?
Good.
Good.
But when we said that John Dramani Mohammed's return will be for the benefit of the country, people doubted it. But he's proven it. We've been vindicated.
There's only 1 year.
It's only 1 year. And he's the 5th most influential person in terms of development and change in the world. The 5th president. Clearly, in his first time in office between 2013 and 2016, if you want January 2017, he had done a lot. I was privileged to be part of that government. A lot was being done. Ghanaians, by virtue of the barrage of attacks on that government, passed a vote of no confidence in His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Those of us who knew him and were close to him knew his level of commitment, determination, and passion for a change for this country. Sometimes you could come up with sitting with him with an idea and you all laugh over it. Because he was always thinking of how to transform this country. So when we lost election 2017,
2016, right?
Election 2016, and then
left power in
2017.
General, yeah.
Even though he was downhearted, I believe that the constitutional arrangement that made it possible for him to come back should be explored.
Okay.
And that he should come back. And that Ghanaians will realize and appreciate his full commitment to the development of this country in his second term.
You made that case to me?
Yeah.
Because initially we understand he was even considering
not running. Not running. But I always believed that he would. Because you see, he's a fool who doesn't learn from his mistakes.
Okay.
I tell you, there are some things that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama in this government will never tolerate.
There are some things he will
never tolerate.
What are those?
Because yesterday I was just reading that an allegation was made against one of his appointees, the NEIP appointee, on a scholarship issue.
Okay.
And he's directed that the Bureau of National Investigation, which is now the National Investigation Bureau, take up the matter and investigate to establish the veracity of the claim. That's John Dramani Mahama. That's John Dramani Mahama. I said, wow. Radio discussion. Somebody makes a claim that scholarships are being sold. It has come to his attention. He says, go dig deep and see whether the allegation is true. Okay. Now, in constituting his government, he's given opportunity to the youth to demonstrate their passion and love for the country. He's growing by doing that. John Dramani Mahama is simply growing the human resource base of this country. After 2028, will you know the number of people who have been exposed to the act of governance by virtue of the opportunity given to them by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama? If you add that to those who served under him in between 2013 to 2016, and add that to those who served under President Mills between 2009, you will see the level of human development, human resources, the combined effect of the decisions of John Evans Atta Mills, John Dramani Mahama Mark I, and John Dramani Mahama Mark II would have created for the NDC. For the NDC. Tremendous. So you can only take a visionary leader to do what he has done. And all the appointees know that this is a legacy-setting regime.
A legacy-setting regime.
That there are things that will not be tolerated. So it's just like the first time Jerry was in office. Ministers of state were afraid to do certain things. Self-restraint is what is animating the performance of this government. Why? It didn't take 3 months for the MPP to record their first scandal. You remember the boss matter?
Yes.
Yeah. It didn't take 3 months. For 1 year, MPP is scouting around for scandal.
But there are those who suggest that it's 1 year. Give it time.
Well, I've just given you the performance of a previous government, which recorded its first major scandal less than 3 months
into the administration.
Yes. I mean, we're even discounting the Eurobond scandal.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yes, vividly.
Vividly. Yeah. Where the Attorney General then said she was not consulted.
Yes.
Okay? Where where those who were constituted to go into the international capital market for that 750 included a company that was linked to the
finance minister himself. Yeah. Yes.
You've not seen it yet. 1 good year. And then when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was leaving office, the political campaign that animated the country was on the economy.
Yes.
That's why Bawumia was held as a whiskey.
He became the poster boy.
The poster boy.
Yeah, because of the matters of economy.
So you go and look at the indicators, economic indicators, which were the subject of attack by the MPP. The economic indicators in 2016 that the MPP thought were not good enough. And so His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was incompetent. Go and look at them. And look at the indicators in 2024. And ask yourself, so which economic indicator in 2016 did the MPP government improve upon?
Which of them did they
improve upon?
They always argue that first...
Was it inflation? No.
I said there was COVID in Russia and Ukraine.
I've given you 2016 indicator. And I've given you 2024 indicator. End-term indicators.
Yeah, and they say that the end-term indicators...
I've not given you within the intervening period.
Okay.
Because between 2013 and 2016, there were significant things that that impacted Ghana. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about Ebola.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about the fall of commodity, the crash of the commodity
price crashes. Yeah.
I'm not talking about that. Then the fact that Ghana is a primary commodity exporter, I'm not talking about that. They impacted the country. But I'm telling you that with all that, 2016, when we went for the elections, there were a set of indicators.
Mm.
And then the MPP said, oh, those indicators were so bad because we had an incompetent leader in office. That's what they said. That was the argument.
Yeah.
Then you come to 2024. Yes, there were intervening factors.
Mm-hmm.
COVID, just like Ebola.
Mm-hmm.
A crash of the international market.
Yeah, commodity price on
international market.
Yes.
Just like the logistics problem because of COVID.
Yes.
Okay, and the Ukraine-Russia war. I'm saying that this is how they ended.
Okay.
Put that against the 2016 indicators and ask yourself, to which one do you improve? Now, but the thing is that the war is still ongoing. Donald Trump is trying hard
Mm-hmm.
to bring an end to the war.
Yes.
But it's still ongoing.
Yeah.
What has abated is a COVID. But the war is still ongoing. But even with the ongoing war, the indicators have improved.
Far better.
so is it magic? It's just policy.
But they also insist that you have done nothing. That as for you are just in to one thing, that there's an IMF program. You are not spending. Tell there's the work that they have done, whose fruits you are enjoying.
Because they took us to IMF.
Yes, the IMF is one.
And which one?
It said the gold purchase program.
Is another.
Yes.
So they had a gold board in 2024?
No. But they had the PMMC was. They insist that the PMMC was doing virtually the same thing.
And so they were able to bring in $8 billion worth of foreign exchange into this country, the PMMC. What kind of talk is that? That Ghana is on autopilot? That are we on autopilot? Nana Akufo-Addo is sitting in Chibi or wherever he is, and Bawumia is sitting in his rich or wherever he is, and the finance minister is in America, and his successor is in Tamale or wherever he is, or in parliament. The country is on autopilot. And so the policies that were in place are being driven by an automatic process, and that has translated into the gains that we are making. Is that what they are saying? Addison Bank of Ghana governor is not at post. And the policies that he was pursuing is autopilot. So Asiama is just sitting down, and the country is changing. Or how do you understand that their policies are what is generating the improvement in the economy? Even the IMF and our international partners forecasted some figures for us, end-year figures. We've improved. We've done better than that. It could not have been autopilot. It could only be a deliberate, intentional effort by government to deal with the situation. A lot of excess money. I mean, I always cite, and I've said it on your network here. When COVID struck, then the country was almost on its knees. The government went to the Bank of Ghana for quantitative easing, for printing
of money. Yes.
Of money. The law says that the Bank of Ghana can do that, because that's the government bank, that's the People's Bank. So the People's Bank cannot stand by while the economy collapses. But the law says that you can do that, but don't do that more than 5% of the previous year's revenue.
Okay.
If after hitting the 5%, you think that you still need to do more, then you have to come to Parliament. You know what they did? They didn't do that. They didn't come to Parliament. They did worse. They did way beyond the 5%.
Way, yes.
Estimates put it around 10, 11% or so. They didn't come to Parliament. What was the net effect? Inflation hit 4%.
Yes.
So, I mean, a lot of money had been pumped into the system. Why did, and I always say that all of us must invest in why some laws are passed. Why did the law say that the Bank of Ghana can intervene, but should not intervene more than 5%? Because of the consequences of pumping too much money with our production. And we saw it. It depleted the purchasing power of public sector workers. It even did not insulate the private sector, because you heard Kennedy Japan crying that his money in the bank, which he had valued at the exchange rate of, at some particular exchange rate, had crashed.
Yes.
Just because inflation had eaten and depreciation had eaten up his investment. Not only did we crash, we also were declared bankrupt. Our appetite for loans was so insatiable that even at a point, civil society organization was floating a petition to restrain the government from further borrowing. You don't recall that?
Yeah.
But the government said, we'll borrow. And it came to a time that we could no longer pay or service our debts. What was our remedy to our inability to pay our debts? We brought in e-levy.
Yes. COVID levy too.
COVID levy too. Yeah. But COVID levy was, for that everybody understood. But e-levy, we said, we won't go to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, because we're going to bring a tax and get the money from Ghanaians. It failed disastrously.
They say they blame you.
When it failed, they said, and again, the statement of the president, fellow Ghanaians, let me assure you that no one will suffer a haircut. Yeah. Do you remember that statement?
Vividly.
The assurance of the president came to naught. Pensioners were picketing at the Ministry of Finance. Not again, it destroyed the trust citizens have in elected public officials. The president had publicly stated without any equivocation that nobody will suffer a haircut. People died as a result of the haircuts. And you still think that the country recovered through an autopilot system? No. The 1 year has been good, but we are not out of the doldrums. We need, as a government, to consolidate it, to transform the economy, and ensure, and I was talking about farming, and ensure that our dollars, foreign resources, don't hemorrhage, don't leave this country by way of important things that we can produce in this country. We must change our perception and outlook and reaffirm our commitment to a selfless development of this country. that we do it for ourselves. I'm happy that the Asiama, governor of the Bank of Ghana, appreciates that look, yes, we are recording inflation at 5.4%. Our CD has stabilized and is performing well, 10.2 now, about 11, 12%, 12 years dollar. They're good. But that doesn't mean that we've arrived yet. Yeah. We need to do more. And everybody is saying that.
Yeah. It's the same language from a finance minister. Yes.
The same language from
the president.
The president. Yeah. So clearly, it means that they are on top of their brief. And they know what they are doing. We can only encourage them not to take their eyes off the ball. So that this country, at least, public sector workers or people, wage earners, can feel confident that their money and their purchasing power will not deplete by reason of reckless economic policies that will be implemented in this country. So it's very important. Let me conclude by telling you a story my wife told me.
Okay.
About 2 weeks ago. She drove home and she was panting. I said, "Oh, Honorable, have you noticed something in town?" I said, "What is in town?" He said, "A lot of vehicles are in town." That was before the Christmas.
Yeah.
A lot of vehicles are in town.
Serious traffic congestion.
Congestion.
Yes, yes.
I said, but that's Christmas. I said, "Oh, it's not only Christmas. Oh. Because the fuel prices have come down. People have gone back for their vehicles."
The ones they covered in their garages.
So he said, me when I'm driving, I watch the numbers. So all the YY and XX vehicles have come back because they can now afford fuel. Yeah. So that should tell you. So if you are talking to the friend, tell him that his policy is bringing the congestion on the road. So
why? So what was he suggesting? Was he suggesting that they should fall the fuel prices?
He said, and then people are going to town because they now have disposable income. Yeah. Not that not that government has increased their salary, so, but their salary cannot purchase more than they could purchase in the previous year. And so people are going to spend the money. So after some time, it will subside. That's what she told me. I believe after some time, it will subside because people now want to spend the money. Yeah. This is what happens when the disposable income of people appreciates. Consumption increases and the economy moves. And that's what we are seeing. That's a sign of prosperity. That's a sign of prosperity.
Well, somebody is asking a question that goes to oral. We don't have time because oral is a major issue. So, but I will ask you one question to conclude. Are you worried about Dr. Bawumia's return as a flag bearer of the MPP?
No, I'm not worried about Dr. Bawumia's return.
You would have 3 years.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all because we appear to be doing all the right things. Why? Okay. Just 2 days ago or 3 days ago, the General Secretary of our party announced a process of reinvigorating our party. That should show you that we are a serious party and we want to approach the process seriously. And if we are able to go through all the motions, constitute the branch executives, the constituency executives, the regional executives, and the national executives, the functional executives will come into place, of course, because the Constitution derives from a combination of the appointed executives, the regional executives, and the functional national executives. If we are able to constitute it, the party will be solid. You see, Nkrumah has said, organization decides everything. And I believe that when we do finish the reorganization of our party, the party will be so formidable that the MPP will be no match.
Interesting.
Now, the second thing is that, I mean, we know that their party is facing Herculean problems, huge tasks of uniting themselves in view of what they spoke about each other. And their scenes, everybody appeared to have a scene and in the MPP in their last primaries. How they overcome that, I leave it to them. But like lawyers say, you don't go to court to win your case based on the weakness of your opponent's case. So NDC is not approaching the 2028 elections based on the present weakness of the MPP. We are going because we have a mission to continue the trajectory of development, the trajectory of stability, the trajectory of frugality, of expenditure that is for purpose, of putting smiles on the face of Ghanaians, of bringing back the dignity of the Ghanaian, and by extension, the dignity of the black man, that we can manage our own affairs. That's what will confront us. That's what we're envisaging. And that's why we're putting our party in place to be able to achieve that mission.
Well, let me conclude by saying that the suggestion is that you have one disadvantage. No John Mahama on the ticket. He said so as much himself that he will not be on the ticket. So you have a new candidate who will go up against Dr. Bawumia, who we both agree was the poster boy of 2016. He's been vice president. Then he's also contested a presidential election before. So his party sees him as better marketed. It will go against someone that you'll be electing who will be new and will have less time that he has to convince Ghanaians that's the best to lead them. Would that not present a problem?
Senator, but you know that I am an unapologetic supporter of John Dramani Mahama.
Yes.
But you also know that John Dramani Mahama is a product of the NDC.
Yes.
He came out of NDC. It's the process or the processes within the NDC that produced His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. We didn't have to import him from anywhere. No. It's a product of the party. So John Dramani Mahama is unlike Bawumia. Bawumia, who didn't have a party card at the time he was being considered for a running mate to Nana Akufo-Addo. It's not like that. That process that produced John Dramani Mahama will produce his successor. Will produce his successor. It's a process. That's why you build parties. I have no doubt about that. The process that produced John Dramani Mahama will produce a successor of John Dramani Mahama who will walk in his shoes.
See. Alhaji, always a pleasure talking to you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Alhaji Inusah Fuseini joined us in studio. 12 minutes past 10. I said I was Kobla's question. Like I said, I've seen the question, but there's a bigger discussion on oral when we come. And I hope Alhaji will make time to join us in studio once again. We'll talk about oral.
Okay.
The different dimensions of it, because he himself visited Yoko a couple of times to answer some questions. But you didn't shout. Nobody came to sit on the floor for you.
No.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, we are done for today.